Thank you, and welcome everybody.
Dr. Kannan Gireesh is a Chennai-based, a highly reputed, well-known psychiatrist and psychotherapist and founder of the Live Life Education Private Limited. Dr. Kannan has been doing some amazing work in the area of mental health for children as well as educators. Dr. Kannan, welcome.
Welcome, welcome. It's a great honor and privilege to be here.
Amrita Rajpal, she's a very highly experienced educator who has helped set up over 200 schools. Amrita is the founder CEO of EducationWorld and a very passionate early childhood educator. She's also the territory head Mumbai of ECA. Welcome, Amrita.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so let's zoom. So we begin with you. And just to, before I start, I'm just going to give the format of the discussion to our participants. The format is we're going to have each panelist speak on a given subject. Then we have a freewheeling discussion. And then we have a very, very special invitee. We're going to keep her as a surprise, who's going to address y'all. And then we're going to keep a lot of time to take questions and answers.
Yeah.
So, the COVID-19 pandemic and the lockdowns have upended children's lives and families across the world, with schools and businesses, everything shut down. And during this time of uncertainty, it's natural for children to feel anxious, to worry, and they may also regress in their behavior. So how can parents manage children's temper tantrums?
Very good question. And of course, children going through the toddler age, the whole point of it is to become independent, and they get cross and they get frustrated because they don't have the language that they can use sometimes to express themselves in the way they want to. So the toddler years are defined really by independence. But of course, now you have children in lockdown, and there are very different circumstances. People are anxious, parents are worried. There's all sorts of different dynamics to it, and so their way of maybe expressing that is to throw a bit of a tantrum to show that they are feeling angry, frustrated, not heard, or not understood a lot of the time. So some of the tips that I would suggest to parents is to be a detective. Try and look for what's underneath the behavior. You could even keep a trigger diary and notice, is it when they're hungry, or is it when they're feeling overwhelmed, or has something changed? Are you then rushing in to rescue them and robbing them of the opportunity to feel capable or competent in whatever they're trying to struggle with? I often talk to parents here in the UK about, for example, because we have such bad weather usually, pulling on their Wellington boots or doing up their zip or whatever, in a car usually, but of course nobody's going out now, but with the seatbelt, they often want to try and do these things for themselves. So the first thing to do is to look at what's underlying the tantrum for me. The other thing is for you as a parent to stay grounded, to stay centered. So I imagine the roots of a tree going down into the ground. Take your shoulders back, take a breath, and understand that this is just your child trying to express something in a sort of an ineffective way. So you don't get pulled in and start getting angry with them. Okay. You just get grounded and centered. Perhaps you start to breathe deeply and slowly, and they will perhaps take their lead from you to relax and breathe a bit slower. The key thing for you as a parent is to stay grounded, as I say, and calm. And, sometimes little ones, they just want their own way, don't they? That's part of the independence thing. So look at ways to empower them to feel capable and competent. One simple thing, even though they're only little, is to give them a job to do in the house, or a chore, or they're responsible for something that's important and meaningful to them, so that they can start to take responsibility for it. That will develop their self-esteem and their confidence, and it will give them a sense of being competent, and again, back to feeling capable. Now, that often is a wonderful thing. The other thing to do is sometimes to just let them struggle for only a few minutes with what they're trying to do. Don't leave them, struggling for ages. That would be awful. But do let them try. We often rush in to do too much for our children. And that's when they have a tantrum, because they feel frustrated that you are rushing in and rescuing them and not allowing them to try. As I say, look for the triggers. You can keep a little diary of perhaps when you notice that certain things are causing them to have these tantrums. And I think really it's about, as I say, trying to help them, because their language is not as developed as other children, certainly in those younger years, and to get down to their level and sometimes help them express their emotions and what might be causing their frustration. So I hope that helps us, just a little bit of an introduction, not going on too long, all around perhaps why in lockdown, with different circumstances, different situations, different family members around, mum and dad very tense, trying to work from home, homeschool, keep all the, the usual things going as well with other older children in maybe a small situation. So be patient, be kind, and we'll all get through it together. I hope that helps a little bit.
Okay. Great. Fatema, thanks, Sue. Thanks for that wonderful insights. Fatema, the lockdown has meant that, children are indoors. There's limited opportunity to go out and play. So that means they're spending disproportionate amount of time on their laptops, on, phones, tech devices. And there's concern of parents that, this may lead to digital addiction. So what can parents do to minimize screen time as well as protect children against this danger?
Thanks, Soumya, for the question. And of course, it's very relevant. But I do say pre-COVID-19, and I'm going to say many years after as well, this cocaine-like addiction that everyone's worried about is a topic of discussion that will continue through. Before or after, I don't think it's made that much of a difference, and I mean while living it. Children, of course, naturally being locked down and not allowed to play outdoors, will consume a little more of the digital space. But so, yeah, I actually have statistics to throw that off a little bit. Okay. I've done this. I've spoken to about 100 parents, and a lot of the little ones, thanks to all our schools, we have access to these little ones. So yeah, you know what? They've turned around and said, we want to do something else. We're bored of watching TV. We're bored of playing games, and we're tired of house party apps. They want to do something else. I mean, if there's one thing to be grateful about COVID-19 is the fact that our children have organically told us they want something else. We've tried as parents. Perhaps these are families where the parents have taken responsibility. I think that's what Sue mentioned. The parents have risen to the fact that they have to work this out in the situation that they find themselves in, which is in a lockdown. So yeah, there are lots of things. For once, children should be sleeping the time they should be. And I have a big plea to all parents. I think Indian children are guilty of just sleeping less. On an average, the age group that you talk about, which is 3 to 8, they need to be sleeping 12 to 14 hours in a day. That's normal. Yes. Science is telling us this. That statistic, unfortunately, is about 8 to 10 as we speak. So get children to sleep a lot more. Life skills that we talk about, household chores, bathing on their own, dressing up, helping with cooking. You know what? We have no help. We have limited resources, help with cooking as well, clean up, wash out. I mean, your 12-hour day can actually be reduced to you honestly working it out with only 3 hours of screen time, for simple reasons that they will want to talk to their grandmom or their granddad or family or even friends. Children are missing that social time. There's physical play. There are enough apps that you don't have to see. You can listen. Great time to pull out all those books that we'd forgotten, revisit them. And you know what? Jehan Manekshaw, my very dear friend with theatre arts, will say, this is the time that you use everything in your closet and become that theater artist with your child. Very difficult for working moms, for working dads. Very difficult as you get your household chores done. But if you create a routine, Samir, if you allow children to sleep, if you delegate responsibility to all the family members, Samir, it is possible for this addiction to not become an addiction. Already you've seen children frustrated. They have no end. They see no end. I mean, we are watching the news, so we know what's going to happen. We're predicting what the Prime Minister is going to tell us or what our Chief Minister is going to talk to us about. But the fact of the matter is, it is possible to set a routine, get a buy-in, essential agreements put in. Of course, it's a bit of reward intake. Redemptions, this is a great time for negotiation. I've actually planned out a chart and I had these 10 commandments. You know what? Your 12 hours where you're awake, 2 hours nap time in the afternoon. These children do need to nap. 2 hours of bathing, sleeping. You're down to 3 hours, honestly, on screen time. But if you break that up, 20 minutes screen time and 20 minutes of physical time, to me, there is no addiction.
So the day is all sorted out. The day is all sorted out in this routine.
So you've got to keep a routine. It's a lot of hard work. Samir, it's easier said than done. I have a 14-year-old. I'm in a happier space. My heart goes out to those moms who have 3 children because there's a lot. I think as human beings, we've become superheroes by default because it's taking every ounce of our energy and sanity to keep it all together. Take one day at a time. And you know what? Give yourself those little cheat notes. Pat on the back and say, today was a bad day. You know what? Half an hour is not going to threaten anyone's existence. I think just be realistic.
All right. Okay. Thanks. I think Swati has joined us. Swati, welcome. Let me introduce our very, very special invitee, Dr. Swati Popat Vats, who's India's foremost champion of early childhood education, the founder president of the Early Childhood Association and Association for Primary Education Research, as well as the Podar group of preschools. Warm welcome, Swati. Pleasure to have you with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So as you can see, we're going all lights out into this discussion. So let me now move on to Dr. Kannan. Dr. Kannan, what's happened is, the lockdown and staying indoors 24/7, worries about financial well-being, the well-being of loved ones' health. This has strained family relationships. And the most vulnerable are parents and children. I mean, it's highly unfortunate that, the Child Helpline of the Government of India has seen a 50% surge in child abuse calls. And this is very worrying. And about 61% of parents are reporting to having screamed at children, yelled, and even spanked. So what can parents do to minimize this stress and not fall into this child abuse trap?
So now what's happening right now is something that is unprecedented. Let's just take it from us. 21 days and again another 21 days is unprecedented. In fact, there are couples who are calling me because we work predominantly with schools. We have around 85 schools we work with. We have around close to 40,000 kids we mentor with. So for me, it's like a shock that the parents, when they call me and tell me, the wife is telling me the first time in her entire life, she has seen her husband for 21 straight days sitting in the house. And they themselves don't know what to do with each other. So there's a lot of suppressed emotions that start coming. And I always say this, if you squeeze a lime juice, you start getting lime. So when there is squeeze happening, when there's a pressure happening, be it financial, be it work pressure, now working from home, most of the homes are their bedrooms, and there they open their laptop, the kid comes to play, the father gets irritated, he shouts. There's a lot of physical abuse happening. In fact, a couple of parents have reported to me that they can't control their anger, and they don't want to hit their wife, so in respect, they're hitting the kids. This is the physical abuse part, which is very scary. It's very scary and very dangerous. In fact, we had a case in Chennai where the father got so angry, he threw the glass on the daughter and it just cut her. It's a small girl, say a 7-year-old girl, it cut her. So, people are losing their cool. The second part that I see a lot is a lot of emotional abuse has started to happen. Now, what do you mean by emotional abuse? A lot of things on fear. You know, the fears of the parents, they're starting to show it on the kids. Like there was a group of parents, there was a parent who called me and said, I get up at 5 o'clock, I do my yoga, I do my exercise. It really drives me crazy to see my son get up at 10:30 so coolly and not do any work. So, you know, these are things that, you know, usually the son used to get up at 6 o'clock, go to school. So their routine is gone. So my take on that is like, you know, you need to first hold yourself first. You need to first calm down and be aware that, yes, this is a once in a century kind of a situation. You need to take care about your emotions. See, I always say this, parents are the #1 role models for their children. This is the time for you to be that role model. This is the time for you to showcase that role model of what characteristics you want to demonstrate to your child. In fact, you know, the couple of children come and tell me in our counseling sessions, the children tell me, Mummy is saying this, Daddy is saying this, who is right? Mummy says this, Daddy says that, who's right? You know, there's so much of conflict that's happening because of different opinions that are coming. And I think this is very, very important. And the second one is I see a lot of sibling rivalry being coming up because of abuse. So, you know, parents coming and saying, my elder daughter gets up on time, but my younger daughter is not doing this. Now, the younger daughter is also listening to it. In her mind, how does she take it? She takes it as a simple thing. My mama doesn't love me. My mama loves my elder sister only. So these are things that we as parents need to be very, very cautious. And there's a lot of, I have seen two coins to this abuse. One other coin is the physical, one is the mental and emotional. And the third thing that I see a lot is a lot of spiritual abuse. In fact, you know, my own daughter came up and asked me this question. Daddy, you tell me to pray every day. Why God won't save the planet? Is there really a God? You know, the children are starting to ask questions which we never thought they would ever ask. Yes, and asking and, you know, looking at our values. So my take for all of the parents is, #1, write down, as ma'am said, write down your values. What do you want to stand by? #2, yes, this too shall pass. But when it will pass, nobody knows. It's our job to now hold our emotions and ventilate it ourselves out rather than taking our children to task. 3, please don't bring your office out of the laptop to the house. Because now the office has become the laptop. And people, the moment they are frustrated, they go for lunch, they show that out completely on the children. Be very careful. 4, it's okay if children are not doing anything and just relaxing. Okay. Don't get your BP high about it. You know, it's okay. And the last part, I would always say, engage children. There are a humpty number of ways to engage children. I just say that, you know, you could engage them with activities, games, for nothing at all. Just put a music and dance with your children. I think the smallest of smallest things. And I think this lockdown is showing us something very important. Smallest things and simplest things can also give joy in life. And I think if we start looking at from that paradigm and using this as an opportunity to empower our children, teach our children values, be the role model to the child, and also be okay with upsets. It's okay if your child is upset. Just be okay with it. Allow them to ventilate, support them, and then just empower them and be with them. I think that would be a right way to handle it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Kannan. You've raised some very relevant points. We'll come back to it later in our discussion.
Sure.
Now we move on to Kusum. Kusum, #1 question all children are saying right now is, at least parents hear it at least, you know, a dozen times in a day, is, I am bored. What should I do? So
Absolutely.
how do parents balance, you know, play, learning, boredom, all this?
So thank you. You know, it's a great you know, statement. You can say that you know, why should we not be afraid of boredom? So I'm going to you know, touch these 3-4 points here. So why should you not be afraid of boredom? What does this boredom do to your child? And points to be kept in mind to deal with boredom, and tips that can work for such moments. Because what Fatema and Sue have spoken, and also Dr. Kannan have spoken, this is all to do with, you know, there is boredom set in. And because children don't have a better word than boredom, because that's so commonly used by all of us as well. So they use boredom. Now, if you don't immediately respond to that complaint by children that I'm bored, so, you know, you will, if you don't do that immediately, you will leave your child the time to find something to do on their own. So this boredom and daily monotony pushes them to develop this sense of imagination, find solutions, new projects, and new ways of being themselves. So I say this from, experience, because personally with my own 2 children and children at our schools, and also researchers all over the world have advocated that boredom is okay with children. So boredom is also where children find the imagination to stimulate interests that have the potential of becoming inspirational as well.
True.
So what does this boredom do for your child? So the key takeaways here would be arranging their emotions, growing imagination, and potential for being inspirational. Boredom creates creativity. Now, the mind doesn't always go where we want it to go, because it just likes to wander. So countless studies have shown that people are more creative when they're bored. And that's true for children too. So when our minds are bored, they start to daydream. And that daydreaming sparks creative thoughts. So as human beings, we are all wired for creativity. It just needs to be tapped at the right moment. And I would say that boredom improves emotional well-being. So being bored is an important part of finding meaning in life, even for children. So when our kids are bored, it helps them find value in their own experiences and develop a unique worldview. Like Fatema said that, okay, let children be, just take them off the gadgets and let them start thinking about themselves, internalize. So what this makes them, psychologically stronger for the future. So also the points that we need to keep in mind to deal with boredom, and that is the best results. Okay, never question your bored child. Never get angry. Definitely don't get angry. Don't be impatient or rude. I know, it's asking for too much, but then that's how we need to deal with children. Ask open-ended questions to stimulate their creativity in finding interesting solutions to overcome their boredom. Turn it around as well. Okay, just turn it around. When they start whining, I'm bored, you can say, that's wonderful. What are you planning to do with it? So rather than making boredom something to be avoided, you can say, welcome it as a friend and then let them think what they would like to do about it.
Right.
Right? And help a child find an engaging activity. That's important. Also, they are waiting to be discovered as musicians, as painters, dancers, as scientists. So don't lose this opportunity. And because we do observe scientists and artists, or creative people. So even take the cases of all of us, whatever spark of creativity we have, we are bringing it forth during these days.
Right.
So they often make the discoveries. These creative people, artists, scientists, they make the best creations in moments of boredom.
You're right.
Very important. I know Dr. Kannan will agree with this, that help a child recognize other kinds of emotional issues or feelings which they might be mistaken as boredom. It could be laziness, it could be fatigue, monotony. They're demoralized, they're annoyed, they're exasperated, they're disgusted, they are nauseated, or some other apathy. Because sometimes for the loss of vocabulary, the right word, because they are hearing boring or I'm bored way too often, and it's become so common that it's boring for everything. So like they use.
I think you've raised some very important points, Kusum. We'll come back to it in our discussion later. Amrita, I'd like to bring you on now, and I think to take on from where Kusum has been talking. What do you think are some of the engaging activities which parents can engage and involve children in constructively during this lockdown?
Thank you for the question. I know this is so relevant now with everybody contributing to it. And, when Dr. Kannan said that this is the age of, for children imitating their elders. And Fatima brought out that routine. And, Sue spoke about, and Kusum spoke about boredom. It's very important to understand that engagement and entertainment are two different things. When parents think of children and they want to constantly sing and dance and keep them engaged constantly, they don't think that they want to engage them. Many times they confuse entertainment with engagement. So when you're engaging a child, you need to understand first, where is this child developmentally? So this 3 to age gap, age range, Dr. Kannan, I'm sure will agree with me because he already said, you know, is the age where children are emulating their parents.
Exactly.
Right now at this age, they're forming an identity. So they're looking at all these, you know, elders in the house and siblings and everything and creating something for themselves. And our engagements have to be such that they create a positive self-identity for themselves. You know, they cannot, and if a parent over there is screaming and shouting or whatever, or getting flustered and wanting to entertain the child, I know of parents who have made so many activities with flashcards and, you know, so many resources that they're so tired when they come to play with their child because they want to be the best parents ever.
Yeah.
True.
But engagement is involvement. Having your child do things with you. You know, you can be doing home chores. Just make it fun. You know, you can have a name like a cleaning squad and get your child involved. Have this routine for the day, have a structure for the day. And when I say structure, I don't mean a half an hour activity and then the next half an hour activity and the next half an hour activity where, you know, the child is overwhelmed, the parents are overwhelmed. It's a whole, you know, there's too much to do then. But have these broad slots. So when the child is awake in the morning and he gets up, there's something to look forward to. That, you know, I have to do this, I have to help my mother, or I have to do part of cleaning for a bit in the morning. Then I will do some art. Then I can sing and dance. Then I have some time with the digital, you know, some digital media. I have family time. You know, create things like that. So when children are also helping you, they understand it's a meaningful thing. They're doing something which is responsible, where they have a sense of accomplishment. And when they're doing that, they're engaged and they're involved. So, you know, engagement can be with so many different things, but primarily, I think right now it's a parent which is there helping you shape your identity, also standing there as a role model for you to be, you know, for the child to emulate you. So I think that is really where engagement will come in.
Yeah, I think that's, you made a very relevant point between differentiating between engagement and entertainment. You know, very often parents think that when they put on, like, say, for example, a cartoon movie for 2 hours or 3 hours, they think that the children are engaged. But that's just one way communication, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, children are not necessarily using their creativity, getting involved, and learning anything.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So, you know, just coming back to you on when you spoke about managing children's temper tantrums, there's a lot of, you know, popular misconception that children, of course, are vulnerable, but, you know, children are very emotionally weak. But my experience is that children are very resilient. You know, they adapt very quickly to situations, to, you know, extraordinary situations, to trauma. They show great resilience. I mean, I think a lot of parents, can you elaborate on that?
I think they take their lead from you. We talked about role models. We're all in agreement with that. I think it's a wonderful point between engagement and entertainment. Over here in the UK, I say, you know, there's an entertaining, they're called the Butlins Redcoats. And I say, you're not supposed to be a Butlins Redcoat or a Mary Poppins, but, you know, the children will take their lead from you. It is healthy to be bored. They are resilient. They are adaptable. I suggest a board jar for some children, also for parents. You know, don't think you can work all day just like you used to. Maybe you work in 45-minute bursts. You create a lovely jar, you decorate, you know, the kids help you decorate it. You put in their little 15-minute to 20-minute activities they can do if they say the dreaded word, I'm bored, I don't know what to do. And the other thing I think is helpful for parents to remember, I have this exercise called For a Minute. So if you sit with your child and do something for a minute in your head, you set them off. Sometimes young children don't know how to begin. You know, they're playing with Lego or they're building a castle or whatever they're trying to do. You sit with them in your head just a short time. You probably spend a little bit longer, but you've set them off, and then you can withdraw and they're already engaging. And I think it's important to think of ING activities. It used to be cycling when we could get outside, but it could be, you know, baking, it could be cooking, it could be painting, it could be drawing, it could be certainly playing. Playing is a lost art, I think, and allowing children different styles of play, playing on their own, playing with their brothers and sisters, playing with you, all these different types of play is absolutely crucial to children. So I hope that gives a little bit of a bearing on perhaps how to handle those sort of, that sort of stuff as well.
Fatema, coming back to what you spoke about, creating a routine and creating a schedule, on some, parents groups, I just went in there just to see before this discussion what kind of fears, anxieties are there. One anxiety seems to be that their children are not getting enough homework, they're not studying enough, they're not doing a full school day. So at this time of a pandemic and lockdown, what's your message to such parents? I mean, shouldn't they focus more on the social and emotional well-being of the child rather than worry about, children in the age group 3 to 8 years not having a full school day?
Right. Mansi, Soumya, they should, right? Parents should recognize that these are extraordinary times. I don't think our governments, health professionals or scientists have been able to figure it out. If we had, maybe what happened 100 years ago, we would have had solutions today and none of us would be in this scenario. I wish parents recognize that there is no regression that will take place, not now, or even if they're not in school for the next 3 years. This is 3 to 8. They are not going to NASA. They are they're dealing with life that is extraordinary, and we need to recognize that. As educators, we are rethinking what we need to push out to them in terms of content. And for us, emotionally secure children will be children who will, like sponges, embrace more. And that's a fact. You deny something and the responsiveness is just more heightened. We need to recognize children at the age of 3 up to year 8 are dependent on us. They see us as role models, and therefore the anxiety and our fixation for this content, because we are a content-driven generation. It's a legacy that's come to us from ancestors, and we will pass it forward. Thank God for COVID-19, because it's a stop now. We're going to say that life skills, which educators have been speaking for now for 20 years, it will be part of a graded curriculum. I know Dr. Swati Popat is a champion for it. For me, cooking is math and science. For me, doing a laundry is decision-making, sequencing, grading, all the pre-math concepts that we teach. So parents, actually, you're teaching more. Give yourself 100 on 100 on your report card, because you did better than us as educators. 3 hours in school, you're doing it for 10 hours. Like I said, your children need to be sleeping for 12 hours. So I think that's the recognition, and Soumya, this is actually coming from the fact that parents put a lot of pressure because they are on those chat groups, and this one well-meaning mom has put pictures of this perfect daughter who's cooked, clean, done her homework once more, created possibly the next invention. Please recognize that's great for that family. My son, Dr. Kannan, wakes up at 10:30. But that works for him because he's still on schedule and doing it. There's no comparison. I think it's a good time to stay on social media. If you're putting pressure on yourself, like I said, and I think Dr. Swati, Kusum's a very passionate component of this. Amrita will agree. Sue's already mentioned it. Learning is not about classroom. You cannot have live learning for these little babies. They need mom and dad to be normal. But yes, if mom and dad is freaking out because they've got work pressure and one of them might be laid off, let the children experience that. Yeah, okay, this is tough time. What do we do as a family? I think we've mentioned that a lot, that we assume that a 3-year-old will not understand. Honestly, they sense it even before we did. They could sense our body language. I wish they were the parents and we were the children. We can actually lead the way. So Samir, the point being is that I think this is not normal. Dr. Kannan started off saying that let's just all accept it, take a step back, and a plea to all the parents: your kids are not taking Mensa exams. They are not creating the next vaccine. These are guys who are thinking about it and doing it. Can we all play our part and just be as normal as we possibly can? And your normal will be very different from mine. And I'm not winning a Super Mom award, nor are you, and nor are your children winning that award. But I promise you one thing, educators will be ready to teach.
Yes.
Where it is normal and it is physically possible. Read, invent stories, sing, use all the toys at home to play, which we've been saying. And yes, you can't go outdoors. There's a reason, give them the reason. It's not safe. Why don't we do all of that? Because you know what, Samia, this is not graded in a curriculum. So, you know, this is not
graded in life.
This is graded in life. Thank you. You come out as passing COVID-19.
Yes.
My colors.
Yes.
Awesome.
Dr. Kannan, I think a lot of points have been raised about how parents need to, you know, back off, relax, be calm, be positive, because they easily pass on their stress and strain to children. But I have a question for you. I mean, a lot of parents are worried about striking the balance between being empathetic during this time of crisis and disciplining bad behavior. So how do you, I mean, what do you do about positive discipline? What should parents do about it?
I'll tell you what I did. So rather than going anywhere, I, as a father, I have a 9-year-old daughter, and she gets up at 10:30 and 11. So the biggest learning for me was, wow, accept the fact you can sleep till 11 and get up and be happy about it. So I was fine. Yeah. Second thing I'll tell you, I and my daughter, I wanted to teach her a lot of stuff. Now you understand that the moment you say teach stuff, children have this barrier. Oh my God, even on holiday, you're trying to teach me. You know, so what did I do? I made it so fun. I asked her, can you teach me drawing? And she was not that keen interested because she knows I don't like drawing. But still I said, can you teach me drawing? Every time you teach me drawing, I'll pay you 100 rupees. Now her interest level went up the roof. I tell you, she has earned around 700 to 800 rupees teaching me drawing for 8 days. The second thing, smallest things start to enjoy with your children. I clean my fan with my daughter. I've never done it in my life. I put a chair, I stood on the chair and I cleaned the fan, and my daughter was looking at me in awe. And I asked her, what did you learn from this? I said, as whatever you are in whatever position, when crisis happens, you should be ready to do anything. That's the lesson I learned, my daughter said. See, now that's something I wanted to teach. But what did I do? I became a role model of that. Now look at this book. This is a book on Brian Tracy. It's a very tough book to read, you know, for adults itself. I inspired my daughter and I told her, at times of crisis, we need to change. We need to learn, unlearn. Daddy's doing that online and learning stuff. Why don't you also learn that? Would you like to learn that? And now just look at the way she has taken notes. Can you see that?
Okay.
The way she has taken notes is why? Because she's now seeing me as an example. We are trying, like, this is what we call in psychology as pact theory. You know, when we have a pact with each other, I do my part of the bargain, you do your part of the bargain. So just do it fun. Even if they don't do, please understand, sky will not come and fall on your head.
Right.
Right. There would be times where things will go on the other side. It's okay. Yesterday, my daughter threw a tantrum. I was okay with it. I enjoyed the tantrum. Please get it. This is the time you can see your tantrum. You see your daughter's tantrum and enjoy about it. Most of the time you're traveling or you're in work. I enjoyed the tantrum. She cried to me to get something. I loved it. I also cried with her and she started laughing at the end of the day. I think, you know, as human beings, sometimes in life, I always say this, I conclude with this, that we really need to understand what life is all about. You know, I think life is in those simple things, the simple joys. And I think it's high time we start to enjoy it and not worry whether our salary is coming, that is coming. See, for our children, it doesn't matter if salary comes or whether you made a hike or you got a deal. Doesn't matter. Their world is very simple. Mama, papa, my house, my toys, my brother, sister. That's it. Stick with that. When you go to your children, stick with that. Enjoy those pleasure moments. You know, I enjoy a walk with my daughter on the terrace. I've never done it. She's 9 years old. I've never done it. Holding her hand, I walk to her and ask any question. There's a technique called heart talk we do, where I ask her, let's talk heart to heart. Whatever question you want, you talk. Whatever question I want, I will answer you. That's the beauty of this, I think we should really learn to enjoy in small things, simple things, not put our anxiety on our children. And I would even suggest every day morning, I've never done this for the last 9 years. I and my daughter play a rolling game in the bed. As soon as she gets up, it's a competition. I and my wife run to the bed. We pounce on my daughter and we play rolling. We play a game. We try waking her up. We play monkey game. Become a kid yourself. There is a kid inside you also. Just bring that kid out. And I think that's the way you actually engage children, and engage children from their world, and don't engage children from your view of their world. That's my take-home message.
Okay, great. Thanks. Kusum?
Yeah.
You're, I think, on a daily basis interacting with parents in the age group you're referring to.
Right.
So if you could, sum up some of the advice you've given them and how they've taken it and how it's helped them.
So it's very, very similar to what Dr. Kannan says. Okay. So there is a child who comes and tells the parent that I am bored. So we always advise parents. What we hear is, I need to talk to you. Mommy and daddy, both, or mommy or daddy. Now, I want to spend some time with you. So can you put your laptop away? So we have ever thought about the reasons behind our child's, developing boredom? Why are they so restless most of the time? Do we hand over the gadgets to them? And, that's what we do, and not our time. So the vital fuel is a sense of connection, as rightly said by Dr. Kannan. And you're just the people or persons to give it to them, because you're the parents. Also, don't try to fix anything for them, boredom, because there's nothing much to be fixed. Your presence, your warmth, your willingness to be close and attentive is all that they need. So do move in closer to your kids. Bring in a sense of pleasure and interest in the situation. And when they say that, okay, I am bored, and so at that point in time, listen to whatever a child can tell you about how awful it is to be bored and to be in this lockdown too. So listening opens up a communication channel between you and your child. And so your ideas are not needed here. Your warm attention is, your laughter is, like how they're playing a rolling game on the bed. So laughter, is one of the strongest connectors, and that's the spice of life and, medicine for life. So we have access to it, to laughter as human beings. So ideas are also tailored to your child's taste. So whatever they like blowing bubbles, they want to roll on the bed, that really works for them. So what I hear from, from a child is, I need your connection. I need your warmth. And because we have that physical proximity with the child, we can listen to you. We are listening to you, and we can laugh it out together. So that's why we shouldn't be afraid of boredom.
Thanks, Kusum. Amrita, I'm going to ask you, if you can give up parents who are watching this one or two, 3 tips on some activities you think they could do at home and in a very low cost way.
Yeah, surely. I was getting to that, but before I get to any activities, I want a parent to understand what is it that they want their child to become. What is it that you want for your child? Do you want your child only to know these ABCs, the 1, 2, 3s? Is that really very, very important? Or do you want your child to become a collaborator? Do you want your child to become a good communicator? Do you want your child to be curious? Do you want your child to be confident? So these are the 4 C's I think every parent should first think about. So if a child has these 4 C's, every activity will make a difference in his life. So right now, I think it's all about forging bonds, forging relationships. And this is the most wonderful time. When I heard Dr. Kannan rolling on the bed with his child, it brought back something over there where you're creating memories for your child. Your child's going to grow up 20 years later and say, oh, you know, I used to roll with my father like this. And this is what I did. So I would suggest, you know, you create rituals in your house. And when I say rituals, I don't mean religious rituals. I mean, you could have a gratitude circle, everyone getting together and thanking for everything that you have. You know, we have food, we have a house, we have job, or whatever we've got things to do. And I think that will get the child even aware of what is happening around. And there's so much to be grateful for. I know I can't go out, but there is so much that I have. And thank you so much. Thank you for the medical practitioners. Thank you for the policemen. Thank you for, you know, my surrounding, my parents. Also, another nice activity you can do is an acknowledgement activity. You know, acknowledge the child for all the nice things the child has done, and also acknowledge the others in the house. You know, when a child learns to appreciate himself and others, it's like building up so much self-esteem. And it is a simple activity. So these little rituals could be brought in. If you want to stress on language and math and things like that, you know, take up 2 new words a day and make 3 sentences 3 times a day with those 2 new words. By the time your 30 days are over, the child knows 60 words and also knows how to use it in multiple ways. You know, it doesn't always have to be like it's work. It has to be, you know, something which is troublesome or tiresome. Play some board games. I think board games are real fun from any age whatsoever. You know, and have look up photo albums that you have. You know, I don't know how many parents think of their parents as young children. Were they ever young children? They've always been mommy and daddy, you know. So it's nice to show them that, you know, we were also young and we did these things. We liked this. I played those games. I think the child will start relating to you differently. And you also did some masti. You also were funny and you also were whatever. It's a nice family connect. You can even have routines of talking to your grandparents once a week or twice a week now that you're there. You know, have long conversation with grandparents. So these are really wonderful activities. Have dramatic play. Let them just play. You have your slot and now you say, this is your art time slot. What would you like to do in it? You know, and have the child think. Because this whole thing is not about you again. I'm saying, don't entertain the child. Oh, now you have 2 pencils and now you will have these 4 colors and now you will color a scenery. Oh, what would you like to draw? And it's okay. The fish is a whale or it's a shark or whatever they want it to be. It can be that. And I think the whole idea is to have fun. Yeah, but there are various activities and links if you all want, and I can surely send them across to the people watching because that would be nice. But my point is, enjoy this time.
With your children.
Good cheer with your children. Yes. End it nicely. Have fun.
I mean, take this time as, you know, once in a probably century or lifetime opportunity to spend quality time with your children.
This time is going to go down in history.
Yeah.
You know, you can have your COVID plant. So this is what I grew during this time when I was at home, you know, or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, great. Swati, thanks for patiently listening to all of us. And you know, we'd like you now to give your message to parents as to what they need to do during these difficult times. I think they'd like to hear from an experienced parenting expert and educator as yourself, as what are the most important things that a parent needs to keep their families and particularly children calm and positive during these very, very testing times.
Thank you, Sumaya. And I think Sue, hi Sue, a long time. Sue, Fatema, Kusum, Amrita, and Dr. Kannan have given some brilliant points. I've been seeing the comments also coming up. And what I would like to say first is that in this entire experience of lockdown and COVID-19, every family must keep children first. So which means it is the child who becomes the center of all your decisions, of all your activities, and of all your planning. Because ask yourself, why did you have a child? You had a child out of choice. So now make the child first. Secondly, it takes a village to raise a child. We all know that. Right now, the village called a school and a daycare is not available for parents. And that's why they will have to depend on their family as that village, whoever is in that home at that time. And if it's only the husband and the wife, well, that again was a choice that you made. So both will have to take equal responsibility for the same. I hear words coming from parents like, my child is so fidgety, my child does not listen to me, my child is bored. Well, let me tell you, parents, because I am a parenting expert that talks straight. These are the definitions of childhood. So tell me something different. Why are you constantly keeping on repeating a definition of a child? That is a definition of a child. You should be worried if your husband is fidgety. You should be worried if your husband doesn't listen to you. And you should be worried if you are bored in your relationship. Children have all right to be bored. They have all right to stop listening to you sometimes when you are boring. And they will be fidgety in their brain development years. So their extremities are the ones that are going to be the most active, because that is the fodder for brain development. So I always tell parents, if you see a fidgety child, feel proud, pat yourself on the back. Wow, my child's brain is developing. So look at it like that. That's very important. When it comes to routines, it's very important that when you sit to make a routine, have fixed and have choices, which means there are certain things which will be fixed for the family, which means this is what we will eat sometimes, or this is the time at which we eat, and this is how, which means no mobile phones during eating. But there has to be choices, which means what does the child want to add in the routine of the day? Because if everything is given to the child, do this, do that, then you've turned your house into a prison during the lockdown. So it's very, very important that you give choices to children. So have a timetable that says fixed and free. So in the fixed, the parents add the points, and in the free is the child's choice. And even in the routine, I tell parents, add a surprise every day. Children love surprises, and they will look forward to each day only for that surprise. Now, I am against bribes because I don't think our country needs bribes. Look at our we take it. But I would say, if it was a choice between a bribe and a threat, then I would tell a parent a bribe is better, but definitely not a monetary bribe, because I'm again worried about the political scenario in our country. So a bribe like something of your choice will be cooked, or you will get what you want to do for this much time. That is much better than threatening children, because I think as parents, we don't understand our limits, and that's why so much of child abuse. A child is not your property. A child is not your property to do what you want with that child. And just like we have this ongoing thing about I will not, which means it's an anti-spanking movement. It's very important if parents are spanking right now, they must tie that red thread on their hand. So every time they lift the hand, they can see that thread and stop themselves in time, because hitting sometimes becomes an impulse in every parent, and they are not able to control their impulses. So it's very, very important that you take care of these things. I would want to make a diary with my family, a COVID diary, that what were the emotions we felt, what were the activities which we did, what were the questions, what were the anxieties. This is the best way to bring all that out and document it in a diary, which also helps a child understand that every experience in life is a learning experience. And please understand, parents, don't think that on May 3rd, schools are opening. Schools may open as late as July or August. So are you ready for that? And many of you may have started working and have no daycares. So I think right now you should be allowing these decisions and start working on them, because don't be stressed out on the 4th of May when you suddenly realize, oh, schools are not opening. I thought schools are opening. So if you give your mind enough time to work on these issues, they won't come as a shock to you. So it is very, very important for parents to understand this. And learning, I don't know why the world is going gaga over learning. Learning is there in every day. When I brush my teeth, there is physics in it. When I'm cooking, there is science in it. There's chemistry in it. When I am bathing, there is biology in it. When I'm stargazing, there's nature education in it. So what learning are you talking about? The ABCs and 1, 2, 3? Today's child who's so good on the mobile phone, even if you don't teach them numbers and alphabet, they will learn because they are such quick learners. So let's not make learning a burden. Let's make learning a joy. And I would suggest 4 activities every parent should do. Home chores for every child, boys and girls and husbands. Yoga, extremely important. We've given such brilliant poses to children to do with A to Z that the children are really enjoying it. Nature. Please don't take away their connection with nature. Do stargazing. You know, this is the time when all the stars are being seen because suddenly the pollution is not there.
Yeah, and get some sunshine, a dose of sunshine.
Let them catch the sunrise and the sunset. And very, very important, involve them in cooking because it's very important for children to understand the entire process and the effort that goes in cooking. And when they cook it, they will never reject that food. So these are my simple advice to parents out there that this is not just COVID-19. Please understand, if the world was susceptible to COVID-19, for all you know, God forbid, there is a COVID-21 and a COVID-24 waiting for us in the future. And this is actually our training in resilience now in how to handle these kind of situations if and when they come. Maybe we become very comfortable with our sense of power and sense of money that I can get anything in life. And COVID has actually taught us that you may have everything, but what you need most is emotional skills. And this is the learning that everybody should be taking from this situation.
Thanks, Swati. I think, you know, you've highlighted some very important points and given some 5 simple activities that all parents can do with 0 cost and actually very less effort. I think what has come out from this discussion is you know, before I take on questions, is what has come out is that putting together what all of you all have said is that, you know, parents need to take this opportunity as a godsend to spend quality time with their children, which they could not earlier because they had office, they had friends, they had parties, they had a zillion things to do. So this opportunity is the time to bond with your children and to emerge as role models, as someone whom your children can emulate and look up to, rather than always passing the burden on to the teacher. Now this is your time. This is your time to play a good role model to your child.
Can I just say,
yes, Sue, tell me.
For me, it's really important we get some what I call me time, because if you're running on empty as a parent, as a mother, then you can't give anything. That's why you put the oxygen mask on yourself first in an aeroplane, so then you can look after the child. So do find some time away from your children and perhaps your partner. I know we're cooped up, but it could be a very simple activity. You might like to read a book, or you might like to listen to music away from everybody. Whatever it may be for you, please look after your own mental health and well-being first, so then you can be, coming from a full cup, not giving from an empty cup.
Yes.
Yeah.
So can I add in, Sumya, that
yes, please.
It's good for parents to be prepared. They need to be strong. Also knowing that learning to deal with discomfort of this period, it takes it's taking them time. It's like working out a muscle, right?
Okay.
So that muscle will take a little bit of time, and let's give it that time and think about ways that allow yourself and your child the time to breathe, to daydream, and yes, be bored yourself. Because boredom is good for parents too. So letting your kids have little time on their own gives you time with your spouse as well. Yeah. So you don't have to wait around, when your child will fall unconscious before you, as mom and dad, you'll acknowledge yourself. So getting some mommy and daddy time is vital to keep your relationships alive and to be, a good parent as well. Like,
Kusum, I think the population of this country is going to increase in January or February.
Yeah. They're all coming to us, Swati. They're coming to you and
Yes.
That's also very risky because COVID, we don't know how it will affect the pregnancy, especially the first 3 months.
Dr. Kannan said that. I'm happy that Dr. Kannan said that.
The first 3 months of brain development is very, very serious for viral infections.
Yes.
The gynecologists are telling, please take protection. Don't get pregnant right now.
Yes.
Because in case COVID is in the air, the first 3 months, brain development gets affected and you're looking in for a major catastrophe.
Yeah.
I'm also worried about that. I'm very worried about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Fatema, I think you wanted to comment.
So
Fatema?
I was just going through a couple of the questions. I think there are a few parents who have children with special needs. Assume these are children who have been diagnosed through a proper psychometric evaluation. Let's not label them. Or even if they are children at risk for, I think, heart goes out to families that have to then work now within the confines of their homes.
Yes.
A lot of relief was possible through their therapists in those centers. Some amount of physical distancing from the house was important. But I just appeal to these parents that there are a lot of psychiatrists, psychologists, therapists today in lockdown situations that are conducting these sessions with families, with children directly. This may involve a bit of screen time, but please don't try to do this independently. Consider yourself a layman, and I think only the experts should help these parents and children. Yes. Because some of these children are on medication and do not fall in the trap of consulting WhatsApp groups to try and fix the problem.
Yes,
or
Google.
Do not do that.
Yeah.
There are, we're happy to share some links of, those who are available to help families, and a lot of them are opening their hearts and worlds out to anybody who needs them. I would be very, very concerned about children at risk for or who have, a diagnosed disability to be handled by non-profession these times, because these are emotionally draining times for the family and the child. So just because I was reading the comment there.
Yeah, very, very, I think, important what you just said, Fatema. I think we're going to take some questions in. We've got a lot of people posting questions. Bhavan, if you could help us with some questions, read some questions out.
Yes, I'm going to read out and I'm going to summarize a few questions, and many of the questions which have come up. Many of the questions that has come up, this is regarding technology, which is, I think so Fatema can take up, saying what is the exact time that one should be glued with the screen, or there is a question which has come up saying between 18 to 24 months, is it good to push the kids towards Zoom classes which schools have started? So what's the ideal digital learning time?
So we're talking 18 months to 24 months? Are we talking that age group?
Yeah, so the Ankur Agarwal has posted saying 18 months to 3 years old children. What's the opinion on the Zoom classes?
Classes for them.
Right. I think EducationWorld had carried a brilliant article, a scary one for me, and the editor. Apparently, there are manufacturers creating these cribs with iPads fitted in. As a way of helping apparently parents who choose to have, like Swati said, choose to have children and then are outsourcing it to technology. I think, and I'm going to speak on behalf, allow me to, on behalf of the industry, for God's sake, 18 to 3, strict no. These children do not need technology. They need warmth. They need a hug. They need their parents. It's called emotional bonding. It's that security. Please, do not. 3 to 8. Now, screen time is different from use of technology. So if there are options, like I said, if there is an audio book that's being read out, and for whatever reason you're busy and you still want your child to get the right pronunciation as everyone's fixated with it, or just have a different medium of instruction, you can turn off the screen. Let the child listen. I think 3 to 8, the children should basically have less than 2 hours in a physical world. Swati ma'am, you can. jump in, please. But I'm just going to recommend in these times, because not every family is the same. If possible, and like I actually pointed it out, let's go back to the days where we did not have technology.
Yes.
Our parents raised us without it. We were staring at the ceiling at 9 in the night because we didn't get sleep. But we fell asleep on our own, and there was no mama singing a lullaby or no one reading a book to us because they were also tired with their household chores. So allowing children, I think Kusum mentioned that time to reflect and figure it out. What I call the non-technology days, we've grown up with it. But think about music, think about dancing. Someone mentioned, what's the element of surprise? Imagine serving your children baked potato fries in the morning, baked, sweet potato. That's an element of surprise. Like Swati said, fixed and free. Maybe that would be your element of surprise for the free. Just get their attention. It requires a little bit of creativity, not a whole lot. Nothing is profound. Ideal technology time is anything less than 2, but every time a child is watching a screen or in a digital space, you need to do more than that in the physical screen time.
And I'd like to add one thing over here. As a doctor, as a psychiatrist, and as a medical student, I spoke to a couple of ophthalmologists, and all of them are saying that till the age of 14, don't have screen time coming close for a stretch of more than 45 minutes. Because what happens is the eye is now getting focused and the vision focus is coming closer and narrower. Now, what happens is myopic eyes start to become worsen in this type of scenario. So you need to be really, really careful. The second thing that you do is when you're looking at kids, now a lot of parents are doing this. I've seen a lot of parents do this. They are cooking. The child is restless. Give the cell phone. Give the iPad. You do it whatever you want. Now, what had happened? There's a kid that was watching around, I think it was around 4.5 to 5 hours every day. And the eye got fixated like this, like a squint. The eye got fixated like a squint. Now, what happens when you start looking at close eye vision, the eyes are now compressing and the muscles are not developed to that extent. So you should be very careful. You can trigger a squint and that can be a lifelong problem for the child. So I would suggest all the parents that 45 minutes, after 45 minutes, stop it. Give a break of 15-20 minutes so that the child's eye adapts to the normal situation. And then if you want another 15-20 minutes, so do it in small breaks. And then second, I would suggest that, come on, if you get your children addicted to technology a lot during this lockdown, they will most likely not like it sitting in a school and listening to a teacher. So that part also you need to have in mind, you need to give that physical interaction, because please understand, when you're looking, it's the back portion of your brain, which is the occipital lobe that's working. Very rarely are you looking at the thinking side. But when you're kinesthetically handling a class, you're synergizing, there are multiple faculties in your brain that actually works. So you should start doing that. Like if the child has done, like ma'am said, if the child has done X amount of time of video time, you need to do at least twice or thrice of normal time, normal classes. Do storytelling, In fact, I and my daughter started this game on storytelling. We read a story in 5 minutes. We teach each other the different stories, So do something that's innovative. Make it out of nothing. Yeah. Ma'am, Swati ma'am also said something very beautiful. Point. Just do that and enjoy that kind of a space. And please, no to technology till at least 6 years, because that's very, very dangerous. Very dangerous. The normal development of the eye, the fixation of the eye, squint of the eye, all of that. It's very, very dangerous. Right?
Yeah, thanks. Swati, I think you want to add, Swati?
Yeah. So I'm going to take a balanced view, because that's exactly what the American Academy of Pediatricians say, and even NAEYC says, that you cannot keep today's child away from technology. It's not possible. So you will have to have safe use and developmentally appropriate use of technology. So a rhyme session on Facebook where the child is seeing his teacher, nothing wrong with that. You already have these video calls with grandparents who live abroad. So that is absolutely nothing wrong. If it's a Zoom session and it's a 10-minute or a 15-minute session in which all the children are seen and they all are chatting with each other, I think that's your substitute for your social development, which you are missing out otherwise. So I would not say a no for technology, but I would say balanced. I always say I've been the advocate for balanced use of technology. And before the age of 2 years is definitely a no, and that's already said by the American Academy of Pediatricians. But after the age of 2, very difficult to keep your children away from technology. So rather than give them stupid games to play on the phone and listen to rhymes and look at those videos, I would rather if schools send them engaging content, which is not test-based and learning-based. Like you have Khan Academy Kids, you have Scholastic, which has lovely reading material. You have Square Tales, which has fantastic reading material. You have Wood Kids, which has very content-driven, age-appropriate material. And 20 minutes, I'm saying not even 45 minutes for this early years age group, 20 minutes. And a distance maintained from the screen. And I think a balanced view is a much better view.
Yeah, I agree to that. I agree to what Dr. Swati says, that it has to be very balanced. And, you know, whatever activities we are doing with children, even if it is a Zoom class, so I think there has to, it's a connection that has been met, there's warmth, and they listen, and they're listening to the teachers, they're seeing each other. So I think that's important, and we don't have to forget that these moments are vital for their development. And so I think we need to very carefully select, you know, interesting activities.
Fatima, quick interjection if we take the next question.
Yeah, sorry. You know, what we're also missing out is, please understand that there's been an evolution of technology as well. The gadgets, whether it's our screens, our smartphones, our laptops, today come with a reduced amount of wear anyway.
Yes.
So please recognize that when we say 20 minutes, that 20-minute break with a physical world just balances it out. I agree, there's no way out. Like Swati ma'am said, I'm worried come October, November, we will be in lockdown again. We will be in lockdown again in March, April. It might be a cycle, we're not out of it. Only thinking of it right now. So we will have to balance it out. Yeah, so they might
have to get used to online home-based learning, and parents will have to get used to that. Its learning is going to be based on simple activities, and your writing and all that is not going to happen on these screen-based activities, and they will have to learn to follow screen time rules. That's very important. As educators, it's our job to make and insist on this with parents.
Yeah, so I think the children are going to become responsible digital citizens, and honestly, communication with them, making them aware and understanding what are the rules, what are the protocols to protect themselves. Like COVID-19 has taught them what not to do because they communicated enough. I think enough of science needs to be put in their head, and they're super responsible. These kids are so resilient, they'll understand.
Technology literacy is
what is important. They have to understand.
You know, the 3 words we taught them about COVID-19, we need to teach them 3 words about technology literacy: timing, distance, and content.
Correct. Yeah, you're right. No, I think this is also a godsend opportunity, you know, to encourage children to self-learn.
Yes.
And to you know, lead themselves into a journey of discovery, learning, rather than, you know, always have the teacher-led model. Yes, we need teachers, we love our teachers, but also some amount of, you know, encouragement for self-learning. I think this is a great opportunity.
You know, Khan Academy came out with flipped classrooms. This is flipped classrooms in life.
True. Correct. Bhavin, can we take on the next question, please?
We are running out of time, but I'll just take the final one, which is a summary of many of the behavioral pattern. 2 opinions which are coming is parents do not have that much time. They do not have sufficient time, and how can they keep the toddlers engaged? And one of the opinion was these kids are looking at television, they are looking at crowds are mopping up police, and the children are getting disturbed and they get cranky. So how, I think so this question could be addressed by Dr. Kannan, how this behavioral pattern could be managed by parents who, one, they do not have time thoroughly to engage with kids, and second, when they look at content, you are in small house, television is going on, and they see a lot of content and they get cranky. How to handle it?
Yeah, so it's a very, crankiness has got a lot. So hyperactivity and attention deficit hyperactivity have got a lot to do, not just with the online space and the TV, but it's also the food they eat, the genetics, the way they are brought up, the kind of home environment. See, because if a child is genuinely a very kinesthetic child, now you locking them in 4 walls The child will throw tantrums like crazy because the child wants to run. There's an enormous urge to run. So my take on that is what you can do is like how we all discuss in the panel, give us specific times. Okay, today evening at this time, I will spend exclusive time with you. See, like I and my daughter, we have a pact. At 8:30, it's dinner time. 8:30 to 9 is dinner time. 9:30 to 10 is TV time where we watch it as a family. Evening 5 to 6:30 is walking time. Come what may, by 5:30, dad is there with me to walk and we'll do a jogging together. Schedule time. So when you schedule those time packs, then what happens? The child looks forward to it. Looks forward, and the child doesn't get cranky when you're always on the computer. The second thing is honor your word with your children, because children take words for granted. If you say you will come at 6 o'clock and do some act with the child, do it at 6 o'clock. Don't come at 6:15 and tell, I'm sorry, I will not do it. There is a meeting that's come too late. Because for their world, you have let them down. The more you start letting them down, the more the crankiness starts to develop. So be very careful what word you give your child. When you're giving a word, try and honor the word to the maximum capacity. Third, please don't allow children to binge on chocolates. This is something that they will do a lot. Chocolates, biscuits, that there is a lot of potato, because a lot of potato and cocoa, for certain children, the brain barrier is a little low. So the sugar hits them very fast, and following which they have enormous amount of energy. If your child is studying in a school which has a lot of sports and physical activity, and now they're sitting in a room where there's nothing over there, then you'll have to be a little more conscious and then be aware that, okay, he was expecting this much amount of energy. Now that energy is not going out. So I need to do something. So you could do a dance class with your child. See, I and my daughter and wife, we do a morning static walk. There's a beautiful video called Static Walk, where 30 minutes, the whole family, just does a static walk. Some way that you can engage, at the same time, you can allow their energies to go out. Now, for a static walk, you don't need anything. You just need a 2x2 space with a TV. That's it. So just look at activities that you can innovatively do together as a family that you can build together. Again, please have open talks with your children. If your child is cranky, just wait for the crankiness to settle down and have an open heart-to-heart talk. Ask her, I'm allowing you to ventilate whatever you want. Mama will not shout. Papa will not shout. We just want to hear your point of view. And whatever they say, even if they say, Daddy, you don't love me, don't get hyper about it. How dare you say you don't love me? I'm working for you. I am doing this. I'm doing that. Everything is for you. They didn't ask you that. They just felt that one act you didn't show love. That's all. Stick with that. Stick with that thing. And then after that, you understand from the child, okay, this is what I did wrong. Fine. Now let me see what I can do a little better. What feedback would you like to give, Daddy? My mentor taught me this technique. Go up to your child every third day and ask the child a feedback. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much would you rate me as a father? The child will give you the real feedback. And then ask the child again, okay, what should Papa do to become 10? See, the first time when you do this, the child will give you some cranky answers. But as you start building the relationship, automatically children will start giving you the right answer. Daddy, this one thing that you did was not right. Daddy, that thing that you said at that time was not right. Daddy, the way you treated Mummy, poor Mummy, she was cooking the whole day. You just came and shouted at her at that. That was not right, Daddy. So they will start opening up and giving you the truth. And I think that if you start giving it, allowing them to ventilate, having heart-to-heart conversations, walk, and then scheduling the time that you can enjoy with them, or they have that enjoyment time and that enjoyment space within the framework. In fact, the first few days, my daughter was going on telling me, call her friends. I didn't do that. I started educating her on COVID. I started telling, it's a virus that affects your skin. This is how it spreads. Slowly, step by step. I was patient. Within the third day, she was advising me, Daddy, don't go out without mask. Daddy, as soon as you come, they start learning. Build that relationship. This is the chance for you to build. The other very important thing I would suggest you, please don't look into your computer or on your phone and answer your child. That's disrespecting them. If they ask you a question, just tell them to wait. Put your stuff down, go and sit with them eye level to eye level and talk to them. Ask them, what do you feel like? What's your problem? What are you thinking? Okay, Papa will do that for you. Just give them that hope. I think that if you do it itself, 99% I feel, unless they have a biological condition of crankiness, unless they don't have that, then 99% I feel with these steps that I gave you, it will completely vanish out. And last but not the least, make this the best experience of your child. I always say this. Yesterday, I had a talk with 5,000 parents from across the world. And my take-home message was very simple. 5 years down the line, if a child looks back at this episode, and if the child says, that was the best time my dad, the way he treated me, the mom, they treated me was superb. We build that relationship. It's not the quantity of time, it's the quality and depth you bring in the little times you spend that gives you these wonderful moments. Thank you.
I also want to add.
Yes, Amrita.
Point. You know, when you give your child enough attention, so if you give your child half an hour of undivided attention, and then you go and do whatever you have to do, that child will understand. But if you start with doing your own thing, and then expecting the child to, you know, entertain themselves or engage themselves in things, it doesn't work. So it's very important for the parent to give that child the attention they require. And after that, you know, give them something, leave them with some leading questions. Like Fatima said, they don't sometimes know what to do. So leave them with something. Can you make a house? I just told you this story. Can you make a house for the 3 little pigs with, you know, bowls and glasses? And have them explore that. Now they are happy that mama has to go and do some work, because I know there are a lot of work from home parents and it is challenging, but try to divide your time accordingly.
Sue, I think Sue wants to add something. Sue, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I always think that children spell love T-I-M-E. So spend time with them, playing, laughing, listening is a real gift you can give your child, so that you build these memories that will last a lifetime. And as you've all said, that they look back at this time as actually not a traumatic time in their world, as actually a rather good time when they had some fun rolling with their dad in bed, playing outside, quick cricket, or whatever you decide to do. So remember that they spell love T-I-M-E, and make sure that you build these memories for them of connection. And
on that parting note about playing cricket indoors, it's okay if a light bulb breaks. Memories that will stay with us. Keep that
agree.
in your memorabilia for COVID-19.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you.
Bhavin, do we have a time for a last question?
No, we have already shooted it. Probably this can go on and on. You can go on with your closing comments, Soumya.
All right. Okay, I think we've had a great discussion. I think a lot of helpful suggestions have come out for parents on technology, how a balance needs to be struck between screen time, between play time, and also boredom, encouraging children to be bored. The most important point in this whole discussion, which I think, you know, a very good takeaway, is that take children on as your partners. Let not your relationship with children be centered around command and control.
Yes.
You know, let children also become your parents.
True.
Learn from them. Let them learn from you. Let this be a journey which you take together and overcome this together.
True.
This too shall pass, and with parental support and the love and affection which children give you and you give your children, I think these testing times will pass. Thank you so much for all our wonderful panelists. We had a great discussion. So special thank you for joining us from the UK, and to Kusum, to Fatima, to Swati, Dr. Kannan and Amrita, and to our back-end team of Bhavin and Arshia for, you know, putting all these questions together. Thank you so much.
And I really would like to thank Education World. I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. A big round of applause to you. Bhavin, excellent. And Soumya, brilliant, brilliant facilitation, having all of us getting these views. I think kudos, Bhavin. I think you guys are doing a phenomenal job, you know, at this time of crisis, standing up and getting people together and giving people the hope, which is the one that's very important right now.
Yes.
I think a lot of content that's very relevant.
I would like to say join ECA and APER.
In fact, Dr. Kannan, what you see over here, that's our Education World family. So you will always see us doing this kind of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Awesome.
And all the questions that have been to all the participants and to the attendees, all the questions which are still there, we would like our experts to answer them. We'll put it on the portal, because they've been over enthusiastically posting still questions. So we will do that needful while answering and sending you to all the experts. Yeah.
Correct. We'll make them available live on educationworld.in.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay
Bye.
safe.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Stay
Stay
safe.
safe.
They say